First at 4:30, state lawmakers are proposing ways to keep critical safety net programs afloat in a tight budget year. Annalisa Burgos explains how these social services also address the issue of homelessness.
State lawmakers say they're focusing on ways to fast-track affordable housing, including streamlining the permitting process and construction of critical infrastructure in rural areas.
People are looking at a lot of technologies to help try and put more, to expand wastewater. Hawaii County just is spending $1/3 billion to upgrade its wastewater facilities. These things take time. They're very complex.
While Governor Josh Green's Kauhale initiative is getting more people off the streets into shelter, policymakers are working to preserve critical safety net programs that help those on the verge of homelessness.
The county of Hawaii has the old Hilo Hospital property, which is like 22 acres, and they hope to put in support, 360-degree support, mental health, medical help, short-term emergency shelter, stuff like that, before they can get, the services to get them into long-term homes and rentals.
But securing the funding will be tough as the state grapples with federal cuts and uncertainty. State Representative Lisa Martin is chair of the House Human Services and Homelessness Committee. She wants more funding for state contractors.
They do the work, but the amount of money we give them for that work has not gone up as salaries have increased, as inflation has hit, their utilities, their rent, gas, and also insurance.
She's also proposing a Hawaii Benefit Hub, a public online statewide database that allows residents to easily find out what government aid they're eligible for and document work hours and other new federal requirements.
They're requiring that a broader range of people show that they're either working in school or doing community service, 80 hours a month, which is a half-time job. Groups that used to be exempt now have to show those hours for housing, Medicaid, and SNAP.
The platform would also allow government agencies to access information in one place and ease state staffing shortages. Yet another bill proposes grants for nonprofits that offer volunteer and training opportunities so beneficiaries can complete our requirements. The legislature does have grant and aid funding for local nonprofits. Applications are due January 23rd. Find more information on our website, hawaiinewsnow.com. Annalisa Burgos, Hawaii News Now.